tech things. I saw on Twitter someone made an AI that takes like video game footage and recolorizes it to look real lifey. Except like their training data is like hundreds of hours of like dash cam videos.
Oh, so it looks like it's
So
grainy and
it
weird.
takes the game and makes it look like shit. Because dash cams look bad. So it goes from having like a nice, visually pleasing color palette to everything being that weird like grayish
Gray.
green brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, why would you want
CC
this?
It's CCTV. Dash cams aren't supposed to look. They're just supposed to be good enough that you can prove that you didn't hit the guy in front of you.
Yeah, yeah. So it's pretty funny. Hang on, my mouth is too open. My my mouth eyebrows. What do you call those?
What?
My mustache.
Mustache?
Yeah. Is
Oh, the dementia's setting in.
hang on. Mouth.
He's doing his vocal training exercises.
Mouth open. Huh? 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 Huh?
Oh, someone put a beat under this.
Okay, there we go. Alright, we're good. Now it droops properly.
Ah, it's got the droop snoot.
The snoot droops. What else? What other obligatory talking points do we have before we get into the book?
I just wanted to say, the Uncanny Valley has a very, very sharp cliff edge when it comes to sex toys.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take your word for it.
Be careful with how you, in what way you develop that technology.
Yeah, you always got to be careful of like putting the pores in.
Oh God.
So I went to the website, right, for the flesh ingots, and they say like, or not the website, I read the abstract, and they're like, enables new types of touch gestures like pinch or scratch. I'm just imagining like pinch nipple to take screenshot.
Yeah.
Like why? Just
Yeah,
straight up why?
Was there an elaborate abstract paper? I mean, a technical paper for this. If it was an art piece, it wouldn't come with a technical paper. It would come with like just a little card.
No, because it
explaining what the
wasn't.
art
It wasn't
is.
just. It wasn't actually. It wasn't like just an art project because they were trying to. They were publishing their methodology and like the technology behind it. I guess in the hopes that other people will further develop the industry of flesh ingots. I don't know.
I mean,
But what's even worse? Hang on. Let me let me throw this
like
shit
the
on
fuzzy
screen.
teacup. Like I can see where this comes from in the art world. Like, yeah, from the sort of for instance, like if we leave the world of horror films, like there's a very famous piece of art, which is it's called, I think it's Teacup in Fur, and it's literally just a mink blind teacup.
This fucking thing. This is their newest project. I'll throw this shit on screen. It's a webcam that is an actual human eye.
Yeah, I saw that.
This is fine, actually. More people should get into this
It
stuff.
blinks. It
What you
blinks.
want in the camera is periodic interruptions of the frame.
It's like a shutter. Alright, so let's talk about this fucking book. Hang on, let me move my webcam. Alright, let's talk about this fucking book. Oh my god, this part is boring as hell.
Yeah, man.
So, Steven left, right? They were hanging out at Bloom's house, and Bloom's like, you should spend the night and teach my wife Italian, if you know what I mean. And Steven's like, no, I'm going home. Later. And he leaves. And Bloom then spends the next, like, 30 pages sitting in the dark, alone,
Yes.
thinking It's not even Bloom thoughts. That's the weirdest thing. I mean,
No.
yes, they're Bloom thoughts.
I mean, they are Bloom
Oh.
thoughts.
There goes the webcam. I gotta gaff tape this bitch back down. Yeah, I mean, the Bloom thoughts in the sense that Bloom is thinking them, but like, god damn, he's.
It's very
very
banal
boring.
observations of the trappings of middle class life at the time. His most leather bound of chairs, the books on the shelf, the junk drawers. Oh god.
Oh jeez.
Hang on.
Hang
No,
on,
you know
I
what?
need
Fuck
to
it.
take
I'm
a
gonna
call.
I'm getting the tape.
Nazi VTubers get the tape. Oh, that's a beautiful face that it's pulling. Let me drop that screenshot. Title this one: Polychan has a fucking stroke and dies. Yes. Good. The tape. Hurry up. Well, I'll just start talking about the books then. Alright. Now, the books are sort of very, like I said, middle class. There's like some generic nonfiction books, the phone book, useful tips, a couple of memoirs, some romance novels, some travel logs, a couple of philosophical works, and then some history stuff. So like a very this is a bookshelf that's not necessarily meant for reading, but it do look good to people who are coming up into the house
All right.
for entertaining.
We're back, baby.
Yeah, I just kept going.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
So there's, like I was saying, for example, in more modern context, his book on the history of the Russo-Turkish War would be that one D-Day book that's in every dad's collection, by Stephen Ambrose. It just appears.
Which
So
he specifically mentions that he doesn't look things up in the book.
Yes. No, it's not for reading. It's for show. It's to say, look at how sophisticated I am. I have some philosophy. I have some history. I have some worldly travel books. It's great.
Yeah. So all right, let's take it from the top here. We'll just kind of speed through some of this stuff because it's really boring.
Control. Yeah.
Okay, so
Which I think is
Bloom.
the point.
Steven leaves.
Irritating.
Bloom goes back inside. Bloom hits his head on the furniture, finds out the furniture's been rearranged. This is a reference to Telemachus, which is the part of the Odyssey where Odysseus returns home and finds 100 dudes cucking him, and just hanging out in his house, which is pretty fitting, I guess, for Bloom. Yeah, so the furniture's been rearranged. He's thinking about his chairs. What significances attached to these two chairs? Significances of similitude, of posture, of symbolism, of circumstantial evidence, of testimonial supermanence. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, man.
The chairs are a metaphor for something.
I think it means they're metaphors for themselves, and it's Joyce taking the piss out of us.
Oh, I believe it. He looks at the stuff on the table, the stuff on the piano. Yeah, he's looking.
Yep.
He's just looking at all the shit in the living room.
Another symbol of middle class.
Candlestick.
Life is having an upright piano.
He opens a box and takes out an incense cone and then lights it and then puts it in the thingy. And then he's got a clock. He's got a tiny tree. He's got 2 matrimonial gifts of unspecified nature. 3 matrimonial gifts. Oh wait, no, hold on. Okay, so the clock is a gift from Matthew Dillon. The tree, a gift from Luke and Carolyn Doyle. And an owl, a gift from Alderman John Hooper. And then he's got... I don't know. I was kind of having trouble following this, like all of it.
It's the sort of weird crap you get as wedding gifts.
Yeah, a stuffed owl, a clock, and a small tree.
Like my parents, their wedding gifts, they got a bunch of ceramics of like geisha girls. All I know is that they just sit in the formal room, and then if I so much as look at them the wrong way, I get in trouble because they're gonna break. Because that's how those work. That's how that works. It's boring, suburban objects.
Yeah.
That symbolize that he is a
your
boring
knickknacks.
suburban man. Yeah.
Tchotchkes.
Tchotchkes.
So I had to look up some words here. What composite asymmetrical image in the mirror then attracted his attention? The image of a solitary, ipso-relative, mutable, alio-relative man. Why solitary? Ipso-relative. So ipso-relative means basically it's a set of objects whose relations extend only to other things in the set and not outside it. And alio-relative means a set of things that have relations to things outside the set. These are like not real words. No one really uses them except Joyce. Or like, I guess this was like, there was like a book written in like the early 1900s, like a philosophy book or something like that used these words, and they were never again used since.
And of course Joyce read it because
of course he did.
That kind of asshole.
Brothers and sisters had he none, yet that man's father was his grandfather's son. Okay, so I mean this is kind of it's kind of obvious here, but so this is a parody of like common riddles that would end with like who am I, or who is he, or like you would be trying to follow like the familial references and be like, if they're talking about the nephew or some shit like that. Brothers and sisters had he none. Yeah, Bloom doesn't have any siblings. Yet that man's father was his grandfather's son. Yeah, of course, because your dad is your grandfather's son. That's how that works.
If true.
Why mutable? Yeah, okay, so solitary because he has no other relatives, right? Because his dad's dead, his grandfather's dead, his mom's dead. He doesn't have any kids. He doesn't have any. Well, he has a kid. But daughters don't count.
They don't.
In Bloom's mind, daughters don't really count. He doesn't have any siblings. Why mutable? Alio-relative. From infancy to maturity, he had resembled his maternal procreatrix, which is such a good word. From maturity to senility, he would increasingly resemble his paternal procreator.
Yeah. Hey, viewers, call your mom the procreatrix and see how well that goes. Write in with the results.
Yeah. Send it to our send a written letter to our PO box. Yeah.
If you can't afford postage, simply project into the astral plane and we'll reach it out.
Isn't it like 61 cents a letter?
Who sends mail?
It's 61 cents. You can afford to send us a postcard.
Well, I mean, if they're listening to this podcast, they probably can't afford much.
What final visual impression was communicated to him by the way? I'm not going to read this. Hang on. All right.
Yeah,
He looks at the bookshelf.
He does. There are
Books. You ready? Should we list the entire books?
No.
No. There's no funny references. There's no deep meaning here. The whole point is that these are like incredibly mundane things to have on your bookshelf.
Yep.
The only one to really note is that he has oh, maybe it's not on the shelf. He had a Jewish book.
There's only one?
Oh, he has a copy of, he has a pamphlet of philosophy of the Talmud. The Talmud is like a companion text to the Torah. It's basically a collection of writings by old rabbis. He doesn't actually have a copy of the Talmud, of course. He just has a pamphlet titled Philosophy of the Talmud, because he's not a real Jew. And when I say he's not a real Jew, I mean he's not really Jewish. He renounced his Jewishness and was baptized. Right. So, he's not Jewish. But the fact that he has it at all means he's still, like, somewhat...
back.
No, he feels bad about it later.
Yeah, he does think about that a little later.
What did I miss?
Literally nothing. Bloom has a bunch of very boring books on his shelf and one pamphlet about the Talmud.
The only interesting thing is that as a work of modernity, the idea of a middle class person having a large in quotes library and having a piano were very recent development.
Yes.
That brought about by the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, we're not quite pre-printing press here, but books were still not like dirt cheap.
Like having lots of books was a normal person being able to have many books and have a piano in their house.
It's before the days of pulp paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
Because pulp fiction would have been printed. That stuff would have been printed in newspapers as
on very
serialized
cheap
fiction.
Paper.
Like your genre fictions, like your Sherlock Holmeses would have been published in newspapers and then maybe collected later. Slightly nicer.
That's what they did for Dickens.
Yep. Dickens was a very smart man. He saw the three different markets. He's like, okay, I'll license my books to the newspapers so that the poors can read it. I will also make paperback versions, or no hardback versions. Paperback wasn't invented then, for middle class readers. And then I will also create premium luxury vellum wrapped ones for the upper class market, so I can get from all three.
Mark dude.
Tap all three markets, and then all of this stuff is only interesting as like. So we've described modernity. We've got all these wonderful things now, brought to us by industrial society, and yet Bloom feels nothing looking at them at 2 a.m. He's just
the
like,
only other one worth noting, and I just like it because of how long he goes on about this, is the short but yet plain elements of geometry, written in French by F. Ignat Pardis and rendered into English by John Harris D.D. London, printed for R. Knaplock at the Biff Hop's Head. Biff Hop, we got the long S. Biff Hop's Head, M.D. C.C. X.I. with dedicatory epistle to his worthy friend Charles Cox, Esquire, Member of Parliament for the Burgh of Southwark, and having ink calligraphed statement on the flyleaf certifying that the book was the property of Michael Gallagher, dated this 10th day of May, 1822, and requesting the person who should find it, the book should be lost or go astray, to restore it to Michael Gallagher, carpenter, Dewferry Gate, Enniscorthy, County Wicklow, the finest place in the world. So this is an old book. This book is like 80 years old. This printing of it.
So maybe Bloom just picked it up off the street one day, like or his dad did or something.
What reflections occupied his mind during the process of reversion of the inverted volumes? So he has reorganized the bookshelf.
Yes.
And in doing so, thinks not about the books, but about the necessity of order, a place for everything,
doesn't
and
read
everything in its
books.
place, the deficient appreciation of literature possessed by females, the incongruity of an apple incunniated in a tumbler, and of an umbrella inclined in a closed stool. Alright, that's a Bloom thought. Hang on, I have the Google award real quick. Incunniated.
Is that when the apple goes in the apple wiggler?
The wedging together of the fragments in a certain form of fracture. This is not a real word.
Of course not.
This is very much a Joyce word. Okay, so a closed stool is a thing meant to hold a chamber pot.
Nice.
That's as far as I can get from that sentence. Yeah, he's got this big ol' history of the Russo-Turkish War with a whole bunch of information about battles and officers, which he does not look up.
Oh.
In order to exercise mnemotechnic. Because after an interval of amnesia, when seated at the central table about to consult the work in question, he remembered by mnemotechnic the name of the military engagement, Plevna. So mnemotechnic, this was like a thing, this was like a fad at the time, that were like these mental exercises supposedly to improve one's memory. And they were like, you should never look things up if you forget them, because that only trains you to not remember them. Which is like...
That's the brief explanation for why Bloom's wrong about everything.
Yeah, he refuses to ever look things up.
Yes, because he's a man of strength.
What caused him
No man of strength
consolation?
would admit to not knowing.
What caused him consolation
he's a
in his
zoomer.
sitting posture? The candor, nudity, pose, tranquility, youth, grace, sex, counsel of a statue erect. In the center of the table, an image of Narcissus purchased by auction from P.A. Wren, 9 Bachelor's Walk. His clothes are too tight, so he like takes half of them off, which is fine. Dude's sitting in his own house at 2 in the morning. He's allowed to take his belt and tie off. He fucking... What involuntary actions
centerpiece.
followed? He compressed between 2 fingers the flesh circumjacent to the cicatrice in the left infracostal region below the diaphragm, resulting from a sting inflicted 2 weeks and 3 days previously by a bee. He scratched imprecisely with his right hand, though insensible of prurition. Someone Google that for me. Various points and surfaces of his partly exposed, wholly abluted skin. He inserted his left hand into the lower pocket of his waistcoat and extracted and replaced a silver coin, a shilling, placed there, presumably, on the occasion of the interment? Wait, isn't it internment? No, it is interment. Interment. That's when you
Look,
put a body.
Well,
Similar sounding words. Interment is sometimes confused with internment, which is not the same thing. Although it's kind of similar. Yeah, so he scratches his bug bite and digs a coin out of his pocket, and then he compiles the budget, makes a list of his debits and credits.
no one will be seated during the thrilling accounting sequence.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's
Pound,
right.
shilling, and pence.
He knows how to use a 2-column spreadsheet.
Incredible. This man is truly unstoppable.
He refuses to read. He eats organs. He thinks about how nuns invented barbed wire, and he can do basic arithmetic.
I just think it's pretty funny how he writes out the loan that he gave to Steven and the money that Steven gave him back. Like, instead of just not writing down either of these because they net 0 over the day, he's like, no, we have to write both of them.
That's good accounting. He's doing it right.
Wait, he's not going to get audited. Did the process
No,
of
it's
divestiture continue?
Oh, based.
Sensible of a benignant, persistent ache in his foot soles, he extended his foot to what? This is the foot fetish page, by the way. So,
Hooray!
any foot fetishes in the audience, get ready. You're about to hear about Bloom's feet. Observe the creases, protuberances, and salient points caused by foot pressure in the course of walking repeatedly in several different directions. Then, inclined, he disnoted the lace knots, unhooked and loosened the laces, took off each of his two boots for the second time, detached the partially moistened right sock through the forepart of which the nail of his great toe had again effracted, raising his right foot and having unhooked a purple elastic sock suspender. Took off his right sock, placed his unclothed right foot on the margin of the seat, picked at and gently lacerated the protruding part of the great toenail, raised the part lacerated to his nostrils, and inhaled the odor of the quick. Then, with satisfaction, threw away the lacerated ungual fragment. Ungual means related to, like, hoof or claw. Why with satisfaction? Because the odor inhaled corresponded to other odors inhaled by other ungual fragments, picked and lacerated by Master Bloom, pupil of Mrs. Ellis's juvenile school, patiently each night in the act of brief genuflection and nocturnal prayer and ambitious meditation. So, he smells his toenail, and it conjures fond memories of his youth spent picking and sniffing his toenails.
Fuck.
This is when I said that he just sits there in the dark being boring, this is what I meant.
He is ahead of his time. This man is a protagonist for the 21st century, honestly. He proudly proclaims ignorance. He's in defeat. Unstoppably horny, but yet deeply unsatisfied. What? He's actually a Zoomer. James Joyce time traveled into the future and wrote a novel for Zoomers.
This is not a fucking novel for Zoomers. If you tried to show this to a 12-year-old, you know what? I'm going to get Logan on the next episode of podcast. Logan, you know what ungual means? You ever heard of genuflection?
So, what are your thoughts on the history of Western literature?
It's about.
You would have some great.
If you thought this was boring, though, get ready, because it's about to get more exciting.
Oh.
I lied. Bloom's about to spend 8 minutes thinking about 8 pages thinking about a house.
Very fine house.
In what ultimate ambition had all concurrent and consecutive ambitions now coalesced? Not to inherit, by right of primogeniture, Gavelkind, or Borough English, or possess in perpetuity, an extensive demesne of a sufficient number of acres, roods, and perches, statute land measure, valuation £42, of grazing turbery, surrounding a baronial hall with gate lodge and carriage drive.
So in other words,
Nor,
he boots up a copy of Crusader
on
Kings
the other
and starts
hand,
playing it 2 in the
a
morning.
terrace house or semi-detached villa described as rus in herbe or qui si sana, but to purchase by private treaty in fee simple a thatched bungalow-shaped 2-story dwelling house of southerly aspect, surmounted by vane and lightning conductor connected with the earth, with porch covered by parasitic plants, ivy or Virginia creeper, hall door olive green, with smart carriage finish, and neat door brasses, stucco front with gilt tracery at eaves and gable, rising, if possible, upon a gentle eminence, with agreeable prospect from balcony, with stone pillar parapet over unoccupied and unoccupiable interjacent pastures, and standing in 5 or 6 acres of its own ground at such a distance from the nearest public thoroughfare as to render its house lights invisible at night above and through a quickset hornbeam hedge of topiary cuttings, situate at a given point not less than 1 statute mile from the periphery of the metropolis, within a time limit of not more than 15 minutes from tram or train line, e.g. Dundrum South or Sutton North, both localities equally... Yeah, I'm not going to read this whole thing, because again, there's nothing like funny or interesting here. He just straight up thinks about what kind of nice house he would like to own. As addenda, a tennis and 5s court, shrubbery, glass summer house, walkery with water spray, Beehive arranged on humane principles, oval flower beds, rectangular grass
If I
plots,
were a rich man, it's that.
eel traps, lobster
He's wondering if
pots,
he was
fishing
rich.
rods, carriage sack, telescope ladder, 10-tooth rake. What improvements might be subsequently introduced? A rabbitry and
fried
fowl
chocolate
run,
shake.
a dovecote, a botanical conservatory, 2 hammocks, a sundial, an exotically harmonically accorded Japanese tinkle gate bell affixed to left lateral gate post. What facilities of transit were desirable? When city-bound, frequent connection by train or tram from their respective intermediate station or terminal. When country-bound, velocipedes. Those are bicycles.
velocipede?
A velocipede is a bicycle. It's like an old-timey kind of bicycle.
That's the kind without a chain.
Velocipede.
When
I
you
don't
can
know.
Kick around the
velo-
ground. and
oh no,
just-
wait. Are they the ones without the pedals? No. They're
No, an early form of bicycle
Yeah.
propelled by working pedals on.
Yeah, no chain,
the
no
pedals.
gears, pedals straight on the front wheel.
Those on the oh, it's like a penny farthing.
Yeah, but
One of the-
the penny farthings are the ones where the front wheel is way bigger than the back wheel. There are other shapes of velocipedes.
Oh. I'm sorry, I'm on the Wikipedia article, and the picture for a variety of velocipedes looks like a goddamn shitpost. Like,
I just really like this one. Hang on, I'll post in a book club.
What's great about these is that they didn't have a suspension or anything,
no.
or like rubber wheels. They tended to have hard wood or metal wheels. So they were
You feel every
rough.
bump.
Yeah.
Let's get this bad boy
Like, some of
on
these
screen.
look more like elaborate torture devices. One I'm not sure how you get on, because it's a unicycle, but like it's on like a penny farthing sized big wheel. So
Jesus
you have to
Christ.
sort of jump up on it.
Oh Christ! My attempt to Luma key out the
I just saw the monocycle
background
one.
of this penny, the velocipede, has also taken out the face. Oh well.
Like the bicycle built for 2, or velocipede built for 2 in various configurations. There is one that you do kick along the ground.
Yeah, yeah, the ones without the pedals. I forget what those are called. Those are like even funnier.
It's bizarre.
Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled programming. What might be the name of this erigible or erected residence? Bloom Cottage, St. Leopold's, Flowerville. So
downgrade from the
St.
Google
Leopold was an actual saint. Actually, kind of cool story. He was like, he was like the brother of like an Austrian prince who, like, when his brother died, they were like, hey, you're the king. And he was like, I don't want to be a king. I want to be a monk. And just, like, left and did monk shit instead. Which is, I tell you what, if you ask me if I want to be King of Austria, I'm not turning that shit down. Nuh-uh.
I mean, you'd probably do a better job, honestly.
Yeah, I'd be great.
I don't think you make a good monk. You have to renounce worldly possessions since you couldn't watch VTubers.
I don't own VTubers. It's...
Monks don't have computers. They're not allowed to have those.
What? I'll borrow the abbot's computer. It just won't be my own. Monasteries still, like, had things. They still had, like, furniture and stuff.
I thought it was more the context at the time. Like, would you rather be a medieval king or a medieval monk? And I'm
Oh,
like,
well, obviously, yeah, I'd rather be a medieval king.
they get to eat food.
Yeah.
Monks get to eat food, just not.
No,
all
they
the
have to
time.
fast on, like, many of the different holidays. Apparently,
And-
the meta back in the times were during fast days, you would just drink a lot of beer, because that counts as a drink and not a food.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
There are so many monk cheats. It's hilarious.
Just like in real life.
Monks are real!
They're strict. Yeah, like I do like this image. It's like, time to have my Friday meal of suffering with no meat, and it's just a plate of fried shrimp
And beaver.
and beaver. Yeah.
That's not meat
Nope, that's a
for
fish.
reasons.
Beaver's a fish. It lives in the water. It's a fish.
Incredibly
Close enough.
convenient. What syllabus of intellectual pursuits was simultaneously possible? Snapshot photography, comparative study of religions, folklore relative to various amatory and superstitious practices, contemplation of the celestial constellations. What lighter recreations? Yeah, I'm not gonna read that. That shit's boring.
Gardens. He gets on his velocipede.
What would be his
There's a
civic
horse
functions and
involved.
social status among the county families and landed gentry? Arranged successively in ascending powers of hierarchical order, that of gardener, groundsman, cultivator, breeder, and at the zenith of his career, resident magistrate or justice of the peace, with a family crest and coat of arms, an appropriate classical motto, Semper Paratus, duly recorded in the court directory, Bloom Leopold P.M.P. P.C.K.P. LLD. Hang on, wait, I know what
What the fuck does that stand
I know
for?
what those mean. Let me pull them up. And by I know what that means, I mean I lied. I know which page of the annotations it's on.
Close enough.
591. Member of Parliament, Privy Councillor, Knight of the Order of St. Patrick, Doctor of Laws. Honoris causa means honorary. Honorary, Doctor of Laws.
You don't actually need to know law to be in government. Very few
No, of
know
course
this.
not.
If that- How is he
It's
gonna
not like
do
they
this kind of
read any
thing?
of the laws.
No, that's what the aides are for. That's not a joke.
What course of
Yeah.
action did he outline for himself in such capacity?
It's fantasy.
A course that
Yeah.
lay between undue clemency and excessive rigor, the dispensation in a heterogeneous society of arbitrary classes, incessantly arranged in terms of greater and lesser social inequality, of unbiased, homogeneous, indisputable justice, tempered with mitigants of the widest possible latitude, but exactable to the uttermost farthing, with confiscation of estate, real and personal, to the crown. Loyal to the highest constituted power in the land, actuated by an innate love of rectitude, his aims would be the strict maintenance of public order, the repression of many abuses, though not of
Law
all
and order.
simultaneously. Every measure of reform or retrenchment being a preliminary solution to be contained by fluxion in the final solution. The upholding of the letter of the law, common statute, and law merchant against all traversers in coven, and trespassers acting in contravention of bylaws and regulations, all resuscitators by trespass and petty larceny of kindlings, of Venville rights, obsolete by desuetude, all orotund investigators of international persecution, all perpetuators of international animosities, all menial molesters of domestic conviviality. Hang on, I have to make a tweet.
Yeah, he would solve the problems by being good and then solving the problems by doing law at the
If I were
correct
a law, if I were a politician, I would simply solve the problem.
Simply do the thing. The thing is, this sort of mindset.
All
underpins
recalcitrant
British law to
violators
this
of
day.
domestic connubiality.
Yep. This is actually how the British legal system works. It's completely vibes based.
It is 100% vibes based. This is true.
So much of it is like literally just convention and tradition.
Yeah, that's what common law is. But like they don't do anything else besides just like what did Sir Smithington III mean? Like say in 1823, it's like, okay, well, he said that, and he was the judge of County Cockburn, and I guess and as a result, Mrs. Smith, you don't get to build a shed in that part of your garden. It's a great system they've got there, which is why it's not collapsing at the seams at this very moment. Scotland leaves movies. That'll be funny.
To prove that he loved rectitude from his earliest youth. To Master Percy Apjohn at high school in 1880, he had divulged his disbelief in the tenets of the Irish Protestant Church, to which his father, Rudolf Virag, later Rudolf Bloom, had been converted from the Israelitic faith and communion in 1865 by the Society for Promoting Christianity Among the Jews, subsequently abjured by him in favor of Roman Catholicism at the epoch of and with a view to his matrimony in 1888. So, this is a little interesting to me. I know we've talked about it before, but I want to bring it up again. So Bloom has like a
complicated relationship.
Because he's Jewish but not actually Jewish, he feels like a lack of connection with the Irish people. And then also because he's Catholic instead of Protestant, he's got even less of a connection, but like is also still like a proud Irish man. Even though he also said when he was dreaming about being a judge that he would be loyal to the Crown of England. So it's like, which fucking side are you on?
He's all of them.
Right? Like,
Leopold Bloom is the first person to invent radical centrism.
He truly does just want to grill his kidneys.
And think wrong things.
Yeah. No, but he really does, though. Because, like, yeah, he's Irish, but he's, like, sort of Jewish, but not really Jewish, and Catholic, but, not like, really. not even really Catholic.
Not Protestant either.
And he's also, like, proud Irish, but not a Republican.
No.
Very interesting. Where are we here? Oh yeah. How much and how did he propose to pay for this country residence? I'm not gonna read this because it's boring, but he is literally thinking out like he's thinking out the lease and the mortgage that he would be signing for this house.
Which again really shows how boring Leopold Bloom is. Like even his like 2 a.m. fantasies involve like, okay, now how do I pay for the mortgage?
Maximum £60 per annum, being 1/6 of an insured income derived from gilt-edged securities, representing a 5% simple interest on capital of £1,200, estimate of price at 20 years purchase, of which to be paid on acquisition, and the balance in the form of annual rent, the £800 plus 2.5% interest on the same repayable quarterly, and so on. Here's where it gets good. What rapid but insecure means to opulence might facilitate immediate purchase? These are the good thoughts. When you sit there and think, how could I become rich? He's got a rather clever scheme. A private wireless telegraph, which would transmit by dot and dash system the result of a national equine handicap of 1 or more miles and furlongs won by an outsider at odds of 50 to 1 at 3 hours 8 minutes p.m. at Ascot, Greenwich time. The message being received and available for bidding purposes in Dublin at 2:59 p.m. Dunsink time. The unexpected discovery of it. So his plan is I will get someone to radio me the result of the horse races so that I can bet on them at the last minute before the results are announced.
He's trying to commit wire fraud.
Excuse me. It clearly says wireless. That's wireless fraud.
It's high frequency trading, but with horses.
Yeah. Now, to be
Yeah,
fair,
which
that's
is
actually
very
kind of
illegal.
clever.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
clever.
it's clever, but would later be illegal when people started to try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
it's unfair.
by the time you get a radio, the fucking bookies are also gonna have radios.
Yes.
The unexpected discovery of an object of great monetary value. Precious stone, valuable adhesive, or impressed postage stamps. 7 shilling, mauve, imperforate, hamper. This man is fucking thinking about which postage stamps would be worth a lot of money. Yeah, he's thinking about rare
funny.
postage stamps. Or by unusual means. In unusual repositories or by unusual means. From the air, dropped by an eagle in flight. By fire, amid the carbonized remains of an incendiated edifice. In the sea, amid flotsam, jetsam, lagoon and derelict. On earth, in the gizzard of a comestible fowl. See, like, this I can relate to. If you have never been like,
interesting.
if an eagle dropped $1 billion diamond in my lap one day, what would I do with it? Like, that's normal night thoughts, right?
I guess.
What kind of lease would I like to sign? Not normal night thoughts.
Yeah, that's like the last part I think about when I'm thinking of my dream home. Like, that's when I'm awake and fully sober and like actually doing the actual logistics.
Yeah, and you're
of it.
trying to figure out if you want like a 15 or a 30-year mortgage. And you're working out your compound interests. You've got your
making sure
amortization
your
tables.
payments match
Yeah.
your payments track with your income.
Yeah, and you're like, all right, well, but I expect a raise in the next few years. So,
That's the real fantasy.
yeah. A Spanish
Decide.
prisoner's this is a Spanish prisoner's donation of a distant treasure of valuables or specie or bullion
Bishop.
lodged with a solvent banking corporation 100 years previously at 5% compound interest of the collective worth of 5,000 pounds sterling. 5 million pounds sterling. Yeah, so it's like, what if some Spanish prisoner 100 years ago had put
Left
their
me
5 million
a
pounds in the
bond.
bank and somehow left it to me?
Yeah, it's a Nigerian prince scheme. Like, what if the Nigerian prince really did give me the money?
A contract with an inconsiderate contractee for the delivery of 32 consignments of some given commodity in consideration of cash payment on delivery per delivery at an initial rate. Oh, so he's doing the fucking... Who was it that originally did this? It's like, it was
Isn't it
some...
like an old fable where like you get one grain of rice on
yeah,
the chessboard.
yeah. It was like
Yeah,
some
kinda like
parable...
Phil the Peck using
That's,
compound interest.
It
That
was
was
like
an
a
old
Chinese
Indian
one, like
story,
an
wasn't it?
Aesop's fable or some shit. Where
I'm
like
pretty sure it's Indian.
maybe I feel like I remember hearing it as being Chinese, but it could. And it doesn't matter. The whole point was like
Asian.
some king was like, "Lady, you're so beautiful. I want to marry you," and the lady's like, "Well, I ain't about to marry no broke bitch," and he's like, "But I'm the king of the world," and she's like, "Well, if you're so rich, I want you to give me 1 grain of rice today, and every day for 100 days, double the amount that you gave me before." And the guy counts on his fingers, and he's like, 1, 2, 4. That's not a lot of rice. Anyway, yeah. So he's tricking some fucking sucker
It
into...
was an Indian king and the god Krishna.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Math,
Um,
it could save your kingdom.
Or, a prepared scheme based on a study of the laws of probability to break the bank at Monte Carlo, or, my personal favorite, a solution of the secular problem of the quadrature of the circle, government premium 1 million pounds sterling. Now, mind you, years before Bloom is thinking these thoughts,
He's ready to solve this.
proofs had already been published proving the impossibility of the quadrature of the circle. That is to say, they proved that it is impossible to, given a ruler and a straight edge and a compass and a circle, produce a square with the exact surface area of the circle in a finite number of steps.
As we've discussed before,
Yes.
Leopold Bloom still trying to square the circle.
Yeah.
He loves it.
Was vast wealth acquirable through industrial channels. The reclamation of dunhams of waste arenary soil, that means shit, proposed in the prospectus of Agendith Netium, Bleibtreustrasse, Berlin, W15.
What was that word?
Bleibtreustrasse, some fucking German word.
German word.
By the
that
cultivation
means a
of
very
orange
specific
plantations and melon fields and reforestation.
land reclamation.
The utilization of waste
Germany.
paper, fells of sewer rodents, human excrement possessing chemical properties in view of the vast production of the first, vast number of the second, and immense quantity of the third, every normal human being of average
Fertilizer.
vitality and appetite producing annually, canceling byproducts of water, a sum total of 80 pounds of shit,
It will
to be
simply
multiplied by
become an industrial
4,386,035. The total population of Ireland, according to the census returns of 1901. So he's going to get all of Ireland's shit and refine it into, I guess, fertilizer or something.
Fertilizer. He's gonna become a fertilizer baron.
Yeah.
Uh,
Were there
then he-
schemes
then-
of wider scope?
yes.
I like how his previous scheme was, I will acquire the shit of every man, woman, and child in Ireland. And he's like, no, we could go bigger. The
We can go
world.
bigger.
A scheme to be formulated and submitted for approval to the harbor commissioners for the exploitation of white coal, hydraulic power, obtained by hydroelectric plant at peak of tide at Dublin
Wait,
Bar.
did they seriously call hydraulic power white
Yes,
coal?
they did.
Yes.
They
Or
did.
what?
'Cause that's how much. The thing is, we had hydroelectric power before we had coal, and when coal first started up, people were like, "This is a terrible, unreliable source of power," as opposed to damming a river. Like rivers weren't known for stopping flowing, and like, "Oh, coal, it's terrible, it's awful. We should just dam more rivers." And then they ran out of rivers to dam. It's like, I guess we'll start burning these weird rocks, and that's when the problem started.
Yep. Obtained by hydroelectric plant at peak of tide at Dublin Bar or at head of water at Poulafuca or Powers Court or catchment basins of main streams for an economic production of 500,000 watts horsepower,
Watt
I presume,
horsepower, which doesn't feel right.
of electricity. Yeah, hang on, I'm gonna do a Google.
'Cause you can have
Yeah, let's
watts.
check the,
you can
units
have
on this.
horsepower.
Horsepower is watts.
I was gonna say, are they interchangeable?
Well, no, but they measure the same quantities, just different.
Okay.
They measure the same dimension, just different quantities of it.
Oh well.
1 horsepower is 745 watts. So wait, maybe WHP stands for something different.
Is it a weird unit?
WHP stands for. I don't know.
Was it supposed to be? Because it's
WHP.
It's not a typo for BHP for brake
Real
horsepower.
horsepower.
Ah,
Also
it is a
known
weird
as
unit.
true horsepower or effective horsepower.
So the horsepower at the wheel, not at the crank. Okay.
Yeah.
Neat.
Okay.
And then more land reclamation.
A scheme to enclose the peninsular
Oh,
delta of the
fuck.
North Bull of Dollymount and erect on the space of the foreland used for golf links and rifle ranges an asphalted esplanade with casinos, booths, shooting galleries, hotels, boarding houses, reading rooms.
He's wants to do every city's terrible revitalization project where it's like, we'll build a casino and luxury housing on the abandoned dock. That'll revitalize the economy, without for some reason failing to understand that the people who like go to casinos and live in luxury housing do not go to the other parts of the city and will not spread the wealth around. This is great. He's doing bad city planning 100 years before we
A
did that.
scheme for the use of dog vans and goat vans for the delivery of early morning milk. This one I like. I wish that my milkman rode around on a chariot pulled by dogs.
Or goats.
Fucking Iditarod ass motherfucker out here. A scheme for the development of
much
Irish
lower
tourist
stakes version of
traffic
Balto.
in and around Dublin by means of petrol-propelled riverboats, plying in the fluvial fairway between Island Bridge and Ringsend. A scheme for the repristination of passenger and goods traffics over Irish waterways when freed from weed beds. A scheme to
Okay,
connect by
so-
tramline the cattle market, parallel with the Link Line Railway, laid between the cattle park, Liffey Junction, and the terminus of Midland Green Western Railway, 43 to 45 north.
So he's gone from playing Crusader Kings to playing City Skylines.
Yeah,
He
he's now
closed
thinking
one-
about. Did
What
he
do you
literally
put
just
the-
list like every rail line in Dublin?
I think he did, and how to make it all work.
Genius.
With the freight and like your passenger rail, and like how to have industry and entertainment districts.
positing what
Let
Protasis...
me go back to the New Blamusalem when everything was like gold and silver.
Yes,
and, like,
go back to New Blamusalem.
And weirdly, and everyone was like a hermaphrodite. That was more exciting.
Given a guarantee equal to the sum sought, the support by deed or gift and transfer vouchers during donor's lifetime, or by bequest after donor's painless extinction, of eminent financiers possessing fortunes in six figures amassed during successful life and joining capital with opportunity, the thing required was done. What eventuality would render him independent of such wealth? The independent discovery of a gold seam of inexhaustible ore. For what reason did he meditate on schemes so difficult of realization? Alright, finally we're getting into some characterization. Brace yourselves.
Why is Bloom doing this?
Why are you like this? It was one of his axioms that similar meditations were the automatic relation to himself of a narrative concerning himself or tranquil recollection of the past, when practiced habitually before retiring for the night, alleviated fatigue, and produced as a result sound repose and renovated vitality. So he believes that if you think about trains before you go to bed, you will sleep better. Maybe I should try that.
You know?
Normally I just think about
infrastructure
VTubers.
week, baby.
Instead I will think about infrastructure
week.
planning.
Numb tot.
His justification? As a physicist, he had learned that of the 70 years of complete human life, at least 2/7, viz. 20 years, are passed in sleep. As a philosopher, he knew that at the termination of any allotted life, only an infinitesimal part of any person's desires had been realized. As a physiologist, he believed in the artificial placation of the malignant agencies, chiefly operative during somnolence. What did he fear? The committal of homicide or suicide during sleep by an aberration of the light of reason, the incommensurable categorical intelligence situated in the cerebral convolutions.
Yep.
What were habitually his final meditations? Of some one sole unique advertisement. This is... this shit fucking killed me when I first read it. So after he thinks about Blue Musalem and his trains and his garden,
And his
he thinks about
mortgages.
one sole unique advertisement to cause passers to stop in wonder. A poster novelty, with all extraneous accretions excluded, reduced to its simplest and most efficient terms, not exceeding the span of casual vision, and congruous with the velocity of modern life.
Perfect ad.
He just thinks about work.
Yeah.
I have a very strict don't think about work outside of work policy.
He goes from like thinking from like, what if I was slightly wealthier than I was right now? What if I was rich? What if I could simply play God with the entirety of Dublin? To what if I could make a really good ad?
Yeah.
It's just the roller coaster of his mind, crashing down back into what if I came up with the Taco Bell dog?
Well, it's kind of funny because he's like, because it almost seems like it's coming out of his "how could I become rich" thoughts. He's
By
like,
making a good
like
ad.
how could I become rich? Well,
By increasing my
an
click-through
eagle could
rate.
drop a diamond in my lap, or a Spanish prisoner could leave me $5 million, or I could
strike
I could
gold.
square the circle,
Yeah.
or
I could just do my job better.
I could
Make a
create
really
the
good
ultimate
ad.
infrastructure, or I could just do my job better. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And then, oh, get ready for this.
I'm
Bloom.
yet to be employed. Do you guys? Is this how employed people think at night?
No.
No.
I did get a reply back from one of my job posts, and hopefully they call me
Very nice.
for an interview.
Bloom now goes through his junk drawers. Plural.
Well, like
Yes.
just get
What did
up
the
and
first
start
drawer unlocked contain?
sifting through?
Yeah.
Do we want to read this? Do we want to read
No.
the entire contents
Is
of
there
his junk
anything
we
junk
don't.
drawer?
interesting in there?
No.
No, there isn't.
There's one thing that's kind of funny that he still has in
Okay.
here. A sealed
funny
prophecy, never unsealed, written by Leopold Bloom in 1886, concerning the concerning the consequences of passing into law of William Ewart Gladstone's Home Rule Bill of 1886. Never passed into law. So he wrote a fucking letter that was like, if we pass Home Rule, here's what's going to happen. And then Home Rule never passed, so the letter just sat in the back of his drawer for 20 years. 20 years. This takes place in 1904, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he wrote this 18 years ago. An infantile epistle dated small m Monday, reading capital P, Papley, comma, capital H, how are you? Note of interrogation. Capital I am very well, full stop. New paragraph, signature with flourishes. Capital M, Millie, no stop. I just like the way they write it like that. He's got a brooch. Wait, what's a cameo brooch? Is that when they have a picture in it?
Yeah, I think so.
Cameo. Oh, yeah. Okay, a cameo brooch is when it's got like a relief carving of someone in it. So he's got a cameo brooch of his mother that was property of his father, which those things are expensive. That seems like a weird thing to leave in a drawer. Like in the back of your junk drawer. Some letters. The transliterated name and address of the addresser of the 3 letters in reversed alphabetical boustrophedonic punctuated quadrilinear cryptogram. Vowels suppressed. Anyone want to do some crypto?
Not really.
Wii U ox. Wox. Hang on, I have to compose a tweet. Please hold.
Stupidest shit in the world.
Tweet.
I like how your Twitter feed, Alex, is primarily just like random VTubers crap that you're retweeting, and then occasionally Ulysses quotes.
Yeah. Tweet. Good tweet.
Dumbest shit in the world.
God forbid anyone ever follows me. Someone followed me on Twitter.
Us.
And I was like, who are you? Why did you follow me? And the only thing that, like, it appeared that they found me because they saw I had liked a tweet. Not even, like, retweeted or replied. I just liked the tweet. And they had, like, also liked the tweet. And so they were looking through the likes and followed me. They're like, who else likes Production Kawaii? This guy. Better follow him.
I mean, on my Not Safe for Work Twitter account, I've gotten quite a few times someone, like, right after I like some tweet, someone who just has, like, an extremely new account and is obviously spam will just follow me. It's like, right, okay.
Yeah,
Was the person who followed you, like, actually a real person? Or...
Yeah, they were a real person that followed a bunch of the Production Kawaii girls.
They're not just fake ass spam account there.
No, it was an actual person.
Just...
It was weird. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm flattered, but, like, blocked. What else we got in here? 2 erotic postcards showing... Hang on, I have to Google a word.
Erotic postcards?
Buckle. Relating to the mouth. Buckle coition between nude senorita, rear presentation, superior position, and nude torero, fore presentation, inferior position. And B, anal violation by male religious, fully clothed, eyes abject, of female religious, partly clothed, eyes direct. Damn, dude, he's got some fucking nun porn in the junk drawer.
Nice.
Yes.
erotic, erotic postcards of priest and a nun banging.
That's hot though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like 1900 stuff that'll be like the weirdest thing.
Yeah. What else is in here? He has a chart of measurements of Leopold Bloom compiled before, during, and after 2 months consecutive use of Sando Whiteley's pulley exerciser. And then some fucking product placement.
Oh boy.
One prospectus
Love
of the
product
Tin
placement.
Wonder Worker, the world's greatest remedy for rectal complaints, direct from Wonder Worker, Coventry House, South Place, London, EC, addressed, erroneously, to Mrs. L. Bloom, with brief accompanying note commencing, erroneously, Dear Madam. Quote
Bazinga.
quote the textual terms in which the prospectus claimed advantages for this thaumaturgic remedy. It heals and soothes you while you sleep, in case of trouble in breaking wind, assists
Gotta get a
nature
Spanish
in
in
the
there
most
somehow.
formidable way, ensuring instant relief in discharge of gases, keeping parts clean and free natural action, an initial outlay of 7/6 making a new man of you, and life worth living. Ladies find Wonder Worker especially useful. A pleasant surprise when they note delightful result, like a cool drink of fresh spring water on a sultry summer's day. Recommend it to your lady and gentleman friends. Lasts a lifetime. Insert long round end. Wonder Worker.
Medicine back then really was just.
This is a fucking
beautiful.
butt plug that helps you fart.
Yeah, it's the fart extractor.
Fart
Have you,
extractor.
Have you
That's a
heard of
fart
the
extractor.
butt plugs that have like a whistle in them?
I have.
I have not. Well, I guess now I have.
Yeah,
And
now you
I
have.
guess, am I better for it? Who's to say?
How did absent-minded beggars concluding testimonial conclude? What a pity the government did not supply our men with wonder workers during the South African campaign. What a relief it would have been.
That's what they needed in the Boer Wars was fart extractors. You know.
Yeah. So he puts he adds a letter to the junk drawer.
Yep.
And then what is this?
What is it? You can't just say what is this and then.
What did the second drawer contain? Yeah, I don't know. He's talking about some letter.
Round 2.
Round 2, baby. Drawer number 2. This
hope it's
has
not a go.
more important stuff. It's got birth certificates, an endowment assurance policy. Yeah, he's got his life insurance paperwork.
That's $1 a day. You can have life insurance.
He's got a certificate of possession of 900 pounds Canadian, 4% inscribed government stock, free of stamp duty. So he's got some stock certificates.
Oh, good.
Reservations for a cemetery plot.
Oh, he's thinking ahead. That's good.
He has his grandfather. He has his father's name change. Grandfather? I forget.
Doesn't matter.
Grandfather, I think. Yeah. Name change paperwork. An ancient Haggadah book in which a pair of horn-rimmed convex spectacles inserted marked the passage of Thanksgiving and the ritual prayers for Pesach. A photo card of the Queen's Hotel, Ennis proprietor, Rudolph Bloom, an envelope addressed to my dear son Leopold. Alright, this is where we get into important stuff. This is also where I stopped
boy,
reading.
yes.
So, Brandon, take the wheel.
Oh, that's a shame. You gotta give me advance warning.
Alright, well,
Like-
I did actually read 3 more pages, so
That's fine. No, I can pick it up here. You've been going for a solid hour and a half. I can carry us through. So we've got our plots, we've got our life insurance, and for anyone listening, it costs you $0 to write me into your will.
well, it's true, yeah.
Put me in there. Let's see what I want. I think it'd be
You
funny.
do have to like hire a lawyer to write a will, though.
Ah, gotta have a piece of paper, shove it in a drawer. But right. So what's in there? We've got a daguerreotype of the father and grandfather, and of his cousins.
So Bloom,
Yes. In a daguerreotype is an ye old proto photograph. It's not a photograph because it doesn't work like that.
So it is of Rudolf Virag and Father Leopold Virag.
Yep. Who were executed.
In the portrait atelier of their respectively first and second cousin. That doesn't work. It would be second and first cousin, cause that's how cousins work.
In the morning, we can
Cause
get the pass.
the first, the number is how many like generations away they are. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, he doesn't remember how his family tree works.
That's fine. I don't know how mine works either. So this is where we start thinking, and he starts thinking about phrases, about like the last words he's heard, and then we get sad. It's time to be sad now. This is now a serious podcast. What reminisces of a human subject suffering from progressive melancholia do these objects evoke in Bloom? An old man, widower, unkempt of hair, in bed with head covered, sighing. An infirm dog, Athos, aconite, resorted to by increasing doses of grains and scruples as a palliative of recrudescent neuralgia. The face in death of a septuagenarian. Suicide by poison. We learn a little more about the series of unfortunate events that is Leopold Bloom's life. And he feels remorseful about this because he feels like this is when he feels sad about not really being Jewish enough or being alienated from his Jewishness.
This is so weird to me because like he made a conscious decision to stop being Jewish.
Yes.
And instead be Catholic.
About it. But he
so
still feels guilty about it.
You can go back.
I don't know. At the time, could you go back?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a genuine question. Is it one of those things like once you're out, you're out?
No. No.
Well, I guess it depends on how orthodox his family was.
I mean, yeah, maybe if you're like Hasidic, they would be a lot more strict about it. I mean, I don't know what the Jewish community in 1904 Dublin was like, but like overall, they tend to be way less like hoity-toity about it, you know? Like, he's not it's not like they're not gonna brand you an apostate, right, and throw rocks at you.
Yeah.
It tends to be more chill than that.
Yeah, so what were the things that he feels bad that he's disrespected? Having flesh meat and milk at the meal.
Yeah, that's not kosher. Mixing your dairies and your meats.
Yeah. Your hebdomadary symposium of incoordinately abstract.
Hebdomadary.
Yes.
Hebdomadary.
Yeah, hebdomadary.
A member of a Roman Catholic chapter or convent appointed for the week to sing the chapter mass and lead the recitation of the canonical hours.
Okay. Next thing that he feels bad about: perfividly concrete mercantile co-ex-religionist ex-compatriots. Does that mean just hanging out with people who are not of the faith and being chill with it?
I don't know.
The circumcision of male infants.
You should feel bad about that one.
Were we're back on stable ground. We know what this is. Supernatural character of Judaic scripture, right? Because as we all know, the Torah is full of ghosts.
This is true.
That's a dubious joke to be making. I shouldn't be making that kind of joke.
Tetragrammaton. Okay, I had to look this up. I knew what this was. I just had never heard of it by this word.
Is that the tree?
No. It's not the
It's not
fucking
related to
Kabbalah shit.
Okay, we're talking about supernatural stuff. And
So
are we in this part of it?
So the Tetragrammaton is the name given to the abbreviation that Hebrew uses as the substitute for saying God.
YW. There's two other letters in there, and I can't remember what they are.
Well, they're
There's an
not
H in there
English, so that's why you don't know
the
them.
English translation.
Yeah, it's Yud Hey Vav Hey, which is translated as either Yahweh or Jehovah, depending on how you want to go about it.
And it's ineffable. And then not keeping Sabbath. So these are the things he feels that he was disrespectful in his immaturity towards these very important things. And now what's it like? Is that
so it does kind of make sense because he rejected his Jewishness like as a kid, right? He was in high school and basically was doing it to fit in better with his peers.
Yes, because of the past, just casual anti-Semitism was cool and good until
and now
very
as a
recently.
grown man regrets it because turns out he still doesn't fit in with his peers.
No.
Renouncing Judaism didn't help him in that regard.
No.
Yeah, no. It turns out if you say you're not Jewish, that doesn't make people stop being anti-Semitic towards you. And that's about 1,000 years of European history summed up in a sentence.
Yup.
And now he's like, well, this Jewish stuff feels no more or less different than the Catholic stuff or the Protestant stuff. It's all bullshit. It's sort of like there's nothing more important. It's like, Christianity stuff, no different than the Jewish stuff. It's all kind of not real. So he feels adrift. He's spiritually adrift. He's empty in that side of things. And now he gets into thinking about his dead son and how all the moving that's gone around in his family and himself. From all the places he's been to, and he's kind of he's always been kind of adrift. He's a bit of an outcast. We're getting a bit of tragedy here, which we had not seen in the entire book, because Leopold Bloom did not have any sort of arc in the classical storytelling sense. He didn't start low and end high. He didn't start high and ended low. He started in the middle and now he's back in the middle, but now he's kind of empty. It's like, I didn't feel accepted as a Jew. I don't feel accepted as a Christian, as an Irishman. And then he's like, I've been everywhere in all these other places: Dublin, London, Florence, Milan, Vienna, Budapest, Zumbaithli. And he's like, I didn't feel there anywhere. He hasn't felt attached to any place as a culture or as a business or anything. He's like, no. But now the next question is: had time equally but differently obliterated the memory of these migrations?
Obliteration.
Has the dementia set in, or has time sort of blurred these stuff all together? And the answer is yes. Not only because he's getting old and sort of getting stuff, but also deliberate toxins. I assume they're talking about alcohol destroying the brain cells.
Yeah. I think so.
Which is real and true. It will kill your brain cells, kids. Don't drink.
This perception that he has, right, of the narcotic toxin ties into why he is like a total fucking straight edge loser.
Yes. Because he's convinced that it will destroy his brain. And what a terrible thing it would be to destroy Leopold Bloom's brain. What a brilliant mind in the world. Now the questions are like, isn't all this stuff kind of kind of contradictory idiosyncrasies were concomitant products of amnesia. You know,
Yeah, this is.
like, you know,
I like this
what are some
bit.
examples of this?
Occasionally.
Occasionally he ate without having previously removed his hat. Occasionally he drank voraciously the juice of gooseberry fool from an inclined plate. Occasionally he removed from his lips the traces of food by means of a lacerated envelope or other accessible fragment of paper.
This
Sometimes he
reminds
didn't
me
have
of the.
proper table manners.
This reminds me of the
And
tweet.
thus he is having dementia.
This
Or-
reminds me of the tweet where the guy's in confession and the priest is like, once again, kind of weird, but not a sin.
What? No, and now we get on to like, okay, so what other proof are you starting to lose your mind? Sometimes he does math wrong when he's calculating.
Myopic digital calculation of coins.
Yeah, he.
So
takes
this
change wrong
is
sometimes.
funny. I like when they say digital calculation because I'm like, digital calculators? What? Those weren't around
Ooh.
back then, were they? And then I
No,
remembered that they were
fingers.
called hands. We had them. They were called hands.
And we should go back, return. And then what has he done to help with the fact that he can't count on his fingers no more? He's got a piece of paper that does the math for him, where he does his calculations, because he can't be bothered to memorize the multiplication table. No thoughts.
So many thoughts. No, head too full. That's
Yeah,
his
that's-
problem.
He's got so many thoughts that his brain has been pushed against his skull, smoothing out the ridges through sheer internal pressure. And so, here comes a very interesting passage. And how could he reduce Bloom by multiplication of reverses of fortune, from which these supports protected him, and by elimination of all positive values, to a negligible, negative, irrational, unreal quantity.
What?
Right, kids, break out your textbooks working in the unreal plane.
Oh,
and the irrational
no.
plane.
Not again.
I'm not sure if we're in the endofunctor space. We could be.
No, we're not in the endofunctor space. These are not endofunctors.
Are you sure? But the positive values have been eliminated.
That just means you're in the negative side of the reals. Not the
But
endofunctors.
There's cross multiplications of reverses. And this is now he's now catastrophizing. We've gone.
That's not even a real word.
Catastrophizing?
Yes.
No, it's a real word actually.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's
What
not.
does it mean?
To
Okay,
do a
you know how-
catastrophe?
Catastrophizing is when you know how like before his fantasy was like, oh, what if all these good things happen?
Oh, it's okay. I got it. Like
This is the-
It's
fantasizing.
the opposite of fantasizing.
Yeah, it's when it's nightmarizing. It's thinking, oh God, how are all the ways could I end up destitute and poor? Bad debts coming to him, getting sick, getting beaten up, angry pops, varieties of.
The verb,
Everything.
as well as its synonym, awfulize, was coined by Albert Ellis.
Yeah, normally it's like in the context of like negative thought spirals for people who have like depression or OCD.
This just
That-
sounds
that's
like
like
the
it-
definition of anxiety to me.
That too, like in like a medical context, it's like when you are physically unable to break these negative thought patterns. I'm using it a little. I'm using it not medically here because this is not a medical podcast, and you should not get medical advice from anything you've heard in this or any other episode of IAA Book Club.
Apparently, in
IAA
the
Literature
50s,
Club.
he was also a sexologist.
Well, that was a
That's
real
the job
thing.
I want.
Good for you,
It's
Albert
not-
Ellis.
It's not that. It's not. No, sexology is not what you think it is.
It's not as fun as it sounds.
No,
You don't do the
it's
sex. You
science.
just write about the sex.
It's just
I mean, I can do
studying
that.
You
It's the scientific study of according to Wikipedia, study of human sexuality, interests, behaviors, and functions. It's literally scientific study of the things people do. It's not.
Look,
It's not
man, I can
fun.
watch porn and write it down.
Okay, hold on, wait.
topics of
No,
st-
hold up.
topics of
Tangent.
study include
Important
puberty.
tangent. This guy,
Oh, yeah.
he,
Albert Ellis.
yeah, Ellis.
Is he one of like from the era when like psychology was still kind of like the domain and like of weirdos?
Yes, but he was cool and good.
Okay, so he didn't like believe in like Oregon energy.
So what's our
Okay,
take to
maybe
this
not
guy?
that good, because he was
It was time.
anti-homosexuality, but
Right,
he was
okay.
pro-condoms.
Okay.
He-
that's-
Okay, so the Society for the Prevention of Venereal Disease
Uh-huh.
held the belief that condoms. Oh no, wait. Okay, the Society for the Prevention of Venereal Disease was like, wear a condom.
yeah.
And their rivals, the National Council for Combating Venereal Disease, is like, no, condoms will only encourage people to have sex and should be banned. Abstinence
right,
only.
The abstinence only people.
And then, wait, which one is he? Hold on. Oh, okay, he's the bad one,
Oh no.
who was on the side of the no condoms. And Norman
Right, okay.
Hare, who was on the side of the yes condoms, called them the Society for the Prevention of Venereal Disease.
Thought they're having fun here. Yeah, like a lot of the early sex and psychology stuff. It's weird.
40 years later, he wrote a new book saying, actually, gay sex is okay.
Well,
Glad
at least he came around in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he died.
And then he died. That's what he gets for recognizing gay sex. um.
All right, back to the book.
Do we have to? yeah, we do.
We could just
otherwise
talk
we'll never
about
get
gay
done.
sex for the rest of the podcast, but
I'm fine with that.
Or the scientific study of gay sex. So
Doesn't make it any less hot.
so it's Kinsey scale studies and just questionnaires that boil down to asking people, why are you gay? Please write multiple choice question.
Throw back to the how gay are you quiz, and it was basically just like, do you like men? Do you like women?
how often do you think about having sex with men? How often do you think about kissing men? How often do you think about having sex with women? I was like, how often do you think about touching men? Like, please understand that I
These
think
are
about
on the
all
nose.
things all the time.
It's a whirling mass. Yeah. So while you think about all these ways you could go poor, ending up at the poorhouse and being a homeless bum,
Eccentric public laughingstock seated on bench of public park under discarded perforated umbrella.
becoming destitute, becoming blind, being disabled by the gout. Which is like the
Didn't he
most
literally have gout?
Yeah, but like you can, I guess back then you could get gout so bad, like I guess your joint just fucking seize. Which is again maybe you shouldn't eat so many kidneys, Leopold. Have a vegetable. I know it's the before times, and you just sort of boiled all of your vegetables pummeled them into a brown paste, but you gotta at least try a little. And what other indignities could he get from being poor and on a bench? Women being indifferent to him, muscular men being contemptuous to him.
Hang
Being
on, nothing I've seen.
What? I'm on 1197 if you need to catch up.
What?
So the people who would, other indignities of being poor, women would no longer talk to him. Men would look down on him. He would have to accept fragments of bread. Friends would ignore him. Stray dogs would bother him.
Okay, so this is really funny.
Does this happen already?
What?
Doesn't most of this happen?
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
He already gets sympathetic indifference from females, the contempt of muscular males,
We're
simulated ignorance of casual acquaintances. Didn't he get bothered by a dog at one point?
Yes.
Or was
Yeah,
that
I remember
Steven?
We've gone into the psyche.
I forget
we went
which one
into
it
at,
was.
we went into his psyche at like the psychosexual level with like chapter 15 with the Nubla Museum, and when we were very like lucid and
He didn't suffer the infantile
the
discharge
real-
of decomposed vegetable missiles, but he did get an empty cracker box thrown at his head.
same difference. And now we're looking at the sober version of that same thing. We're starting abstract and hypothetical. We're going to start moving towards the concrete as this chapter draws to a close.
As he slowly sobers up.
Oh,
Actually, no, he
he's
wasn't drunk.
sober. He's been sober this entire time.
sober, but as his like weird.
This
inner
is the
monologue
caffeine
goes
leaving
from
his
vague-
system.
Yeah. As to go, we're gonna get from the vague to the specific here, and like how could this not happen? A situation be precluded? He could just fucking die.
By
disease.
disease.
How could I avoid being poor? I
I
just
could
die
die.
right now.
Wow. Holy
Uh,
fuck, Bloom.
That's the most relatable he's been to me this whole book.
Or he could move somewhere else.
Or he could just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Which which would you rather do? The latter, because you know it's easier. I don't know if moving's easier than dying.
The
I don't
latter,
know.
by the line of least resistance. Yeah, I
Just
don't know.
putting
Least
back-
resistance, dropping dead is pretty easy.
I do it every day.
But if you're gouted and blind, it's actually kind of hard to just go move somewhere else.
People are throwing rotting vegetables at you.
What considerations rendered departure not entirely undesirable? Constant
Now we're getting into
cohabitation, impending mutual toleration
Life.
of personal defects, the habit of
Marriage.
independent purchase increasingly cultivated, the necessity to counteract by impermanent sojourn the permanence of arrest.
Yeah, when you live together for a long time, coming out of a long-term relationship is hard, and moving somewhere else and being alone is hard after being in a place for so long. What considerations render departure not irrational? We're putting on our logic brains. Let's do a modus tollens here.
Let's eliminate some bottoms.
I think about doing that every day.
Please, no.
Well, get some backbone then. Parties concerned uniting had increased and multiplied. I believe he hasn't said it yet, but he is talking about his failed marriage, and that the marriage has failed. The kids are either dead or left, and he's just sort of stuck with his really hot wife that he has
That he
no
can't
emotional
fuck.
or sexual connection to. And yet every man in Dublin, and possibly every man not in Dublin, if you again, have you fucked Bloom's wife? Let us know. You might have, judging by the writing of this book. They've united. They've done the multiplication. They did what God told them to do, which is have kids. The kids, one of them has made it to maturity. And so, what would make now? Now we know. So now we know it's rational to leave. We're going away from his fantasy of being rich and famous to his fantasy of getting out of his crappy marriage. So there are very nice places in Ireland and other places which look nice. And so, like, which places? In Ireland, he lists a bunch of places in Ireland. Abroad, he wants to move to India, or Jerusalem, or to Gibraltar, or to Greece,
Or
or
Tibet,
to New York,
from
or
which no
some-
traveler returns.
Niagara Bowl, or Niagara Falls.
The
He wants to
land
go
of
to
the Eskimos, eaters of soap? Huh?
What?
That feels racist in a way that I don't understand.
Hang on, I'm
Also,
gonna do a
they
Google.
spelled Tibet wrong.
It's the past. Could have been how they spelled it back then. Because Ceylon is Sri Lanka.
Okay,
Jerusalem.
so there
is
was a myth at the
redacted.
time that Eskimos ate soap. So they don't eat soap. What they ate,
They're also not Eskimos. That's
Yeah,
not what they're
well,
called.
what they ate was rendered fat.
Right, because back then soap was made out of rendered fat.
Yeah.
Lye soap is made out of rendered fat. So the white man was like, saw a person eating their nutritional lard brick.
Their bar of fat.
stay warm.
Which
in
was
the
just
frozen
because
wastelands
you need
of
a
Canada.
lot of calories to not freeze to death when you're that far north. And they're like,
Yeah.
yo, did that guy just eat a bar of fucking soap?
What a loser! And refused to interrogate further, coming to an obvious conclusion that a grown adult has eaten soap.
Tibet is apparently a outdated spelling of Tibet.
And then also Naples, and then back to the Dead Sea. So a couple places in Italy, a couple places in Spain, a couple places in America, and a couple places in Israel, which makes this episode very timely and relevant in a way that I wish it wasn't. And then how would he get there? How would he get to these places? By sea? He would navigate by the stars. From the Beta to the Alpha in Ursa Major. Not Ursa Major, Ursa Major.
Ursa Minor.
Or Ursa Minor. J and I are next to each other on the keyboard on the diagonal, so maybe this is a typo. But I'm gonna go with maybe not. Maybe Bloom just doesn't know what the constellations are.
All mistakes are divinely inspired.
And also, I don't think you divide your angles by the omega. That's not a thing you do in sort of two-dimensional geometry.
Who knows?
And I don't know what that means, but
Yeah,
you do aeronautic stuff, so I'll believe you.
I do.
Where's Josh?
aeronautical science.
Someone get Josh.
No, he doesn't know.
We can't.
anything.
He's downtown playing chess at the Kava bar.
With
What?
Angelo, right?
Yeah. Speaking of,
What a nerd.
what's a Kava bar?
Is it like a hookah? But for,
No.
like, guys who wear ascots? Or is
Kava
it a
bar.
Kava bar?
All right, it's
Okay, is it just the name?
Kava is a plant.
Is it like one
It
of
is
those?
like, I guess supposedly
a stimulant?
similar to CBD.
Ah, I see. He is hanging out with people who wear ascots.
Intoxicating pepper.
Cool. Well, I hope they're having
Tea.
fun, getting fucking stoned on
Getting-
their tea and playing chess.
Well, it's CBD, not THC. There's nothing psychoactive.
All right,
It
what's
just
the verb
makes you
for when
mellow.
you take kava?
Av.
I hope they're getting caved down at the chess bar.
If that hadn't been there for the past 10 years, I would have assumed it's like a business that came in with those awful-looking luxury apartments that they're building downtown.
I had no idea it existed until I saw a sign for it like 2 weeks ago.
I did not know it existed until 2 minutes ago.
It exists.
I mean, it's not the place that sort of caters to us because we're not weird hipsters or guys who like smoke weird things to feel more connected to the Mother Earth. Like, nah, man, I sleep in my bed. My wife. And so he's gonna navigate by sea with the Omega Alpha and the Alpha Delta, which is not. No. And he's gonna and by land he'll use the meridians and the bispherical moon. I didn't know that the moon was double spherical or half spherical. Or he's
well,
gonna
you
try
only
to
see
navigate-
half of it, so
Yeah, well, the moon's a hologram, but they didn't know that at the time. So he's
This
gonna
is true,
I guess,
yeah.
navigate by the phases of the moon. And I guess he's gonna follow, I guess, the pillar of the cloud by day, like they did in Bible times. 'Cause that's true. Whenever you're lost, you just ask God to do the cloud again, and He'll get you right where He needs to go. That's okay. For those who don't know, I think during the 40 days and 40 nights in the desert, in the day they followed a cloud, and at night they followed a column of fire in the sky. And then what? And then how would people be missed? So now he's fantasizing with just disappearing. We are in first and second verses of the Pina Colada song, for more contemporary reference than the Bible.
What the Pina
£5.
Colada song is about?
It's about fantasizing on cheating on your wife,
Oh.
taking out classifieds, and like, it's such a. we're not getting sidetracked on the Pina Colada song. It's not worth thinking about.
Okay.
It's just, and he's like, oh, and then there'd be like, how would people know he's gone? Because people would look for him and put up missing posters and put them on the back of milk cartons.
No.
May have since grown a beard.
And last seen wearing his black suit. And what universal denominations would be his entity and non-entity? Assumed by any or known to none, every man or no man. Now he's going for elaborate how to disappear.
Hey, that's a Ulysses reference. Odyssey reference.
Yes. I am no man.
Yeah.
The text is referencing itself. What tribute?
I mean, it does. It does a whole lot of self-referential stuff.
He would become the friend of every man, and he would become an immortal nymph.
Mm-hmm.
And well, the tributes would be an immortal nymph.
Oh.
Would the departed never nowhere know how reappear? Very good. Joyce is having fun with his keyboard. Would he wander, self-compelled, to the extreme limits of this cometary orbit, beyond the fixed stars and variable suns and telescopic planets, astronomical waifs and strays, to the extreme boundary of space, passing from land to land, among people amid events. Somewhere imperceptibly he would hear, and somehow reluctantly, sun-compelled, obey the summons of recall. Whence, disappearing from the constellation of the Northern Crown, he would somehow reappear reborn above the Delta, in the constellation of Cassiopeia, and after incalculable eons of peregrination, an estranged avenger, a wreaker of justice on malefactors, a dark crusader, a sleeper awakened with financial resources, by supposition, surpassing those of the Rothschilds, or the Silver King.
What?
He will simply ascend to the stars and become a Starman.
Right, okay.
And then come back to lay justice after converting his space dollars into real dollars, becoming richer than the Rothschilds or the Silver King.
Is that what it says?
I am reading with his financial resources by supposition surpassing those of Rothschild or the Silver King. Look, man, he's dreaming big again. He's going intergalactic planetary.
Cool.
Isn't that pronounced Rothschilds?
No.
Is it really Rothschilds?
Yeah. That's how I pronounce it.
Hang on, I'm Googling it.
It's gonna be like it's
Rothschild.
pronounced both ways depending on which part of the world you're from, isn't it? Just nothing to see here, officer. Just some couple of fellas googling the Rothschilds on a Wednesday night, trying to learn more about them.
Rothschild.
Pronounced B. I want to know who the Silver King is.
Rothschild. It's an SH sound. Rothschild.
Rothschild.
Rothschild. Rothschild. It's got the. Hang on.
No, if you do, no.
Look at the IPA on Wikipedia.
I tried to Google images of the Silver King, and you get a pro wrestler.
Rothschild.
I think a Fate character, which is
It's Roth. Okay, hang on. How do I
Hold on.
copy link text?
you
I'm gonna
possibly
I'm gonna
have ever
throw
done
this bad boy on stream. You ready? Add text. I hope my font supports. There we go. Okay. Give it a nice. I don't have a stroke button. Wait, really? I could have sworn there was a way
That's
to
why
do
you need the flesh ingot for, so you can stroke.
that.
See how I'm tying this bits together? This is a professional.
Oh, here we go,
podcast,
wait.
People.
Outline.
But regardless of how the Rothschilds pronounce their name, because they don't matter anymore.
Rothschild. No, this is important now.
They don't matter anymore. The only one that actually has any connection to banking is like one guy in France, and even it's just a regional bank.
All right, you see
They're not
this?
No.
Well, open up the goddamn stream. Come on, we
But I
need those
refuse.
views.
I mean, no, I have it open, just in another tab.
All right. Open up another. Okay. All right. Wait. Can I just duplicate
All right,
this?
look, we got to keep going here because we got to know why him coming back from space to be the Dark Avenger.
All right. Well, what letter is that? The theta? I think that's a theta. In IPA, that's a TH sound, so it's Roth. And
Yep.
then st. And then the long S is an SH, so it's Rothschild. Child. Yeah. Rothschild.
Oh yeah, to make that stroke extra thick.
So it's THSTSH. That's
And if you say it 3 times backwards in a mirror, nothing happens. Right. So why would him coming back from space and being the Dark Avenger be irrational, an irrational thing to do? Because going to space and becoming a Dark Avenger, that's rational. Coming back, that's irrational. Why would this be? An unsatisfactory equation between an exodus and return in time through reversible space, and an exodus and return in space through irreversible time. Naturally. This is why we actually would need Josh, because this is astrophysics, and that's the thing I don't know. Space is fake anyway. You can't move through it. It's a permanent crystal sphere. The wet play of forces, including inertia, would render departure undesirable. So his logic's a bit weird. He's thinking he thought about how he got back before how he would leave. How would this be? The lateness of the hour, rendering procrastinatory; the obscurity of the night, rendering invisible; the uncertainty of thoroughfares, rendering perilous; the necessity for repose, obviating movement; the proximity of an occupied bed, obviating research; the anticipation of warmth, human, tempered with the coolness, linen, obviating desire, and rendering desirable. Statue of Narcissus, sound without echo, desired desire. Okay, so now we're slowly coming back into the real world. Because now we're talking about how is he going to get into bed without waking his wife.
Is it like just past dawn?
Yeah. Look, it's been a long day.
Hold on. I gotta interrupt the fucking podcast for a second here.
Oh, not another
Fucking
tangent.
other Paul.
look at the fucking Discord chat.
Other Paul being dumb again.
I genuinely can't tell if he's shitposting or not.
It's like other Paul absorbed all the badness of regular Paul.
Oh, Christ.
Can you is there a way to put him in jail?
Yeah.
Or we don't. It's very annoying dealing with him.
You don't have to. What do you mean deal with him? You don't have to
I have
deal
to
with him.
See them. The fact that I could see the post at any time is a human rights violation.
I'm not about to get fucking language police from the local eugenicist.
Yeah, I've got to call my cousins in Puerto Rico and say, if you see this motherfucker, it's just on site. Take him out, fellas. But anyway, back to the book, which is more important than the man who wrote an essay about how cool and good it is to pedophilia.
Wasn't an
Why do
essay,
we
it was
know
a
this?
mathematical proof.
Why do we know this man? We're trying not to, but it's impossible to unknow him. Right. So now he's into a little more concrete thought question. What are the pros and cons of an occupied bed from an unoccupied bed? So if you were to get, what would happen? So there would be the removal of nocturnal solitude, the superior quality of human, mature female, to inhuman, hot water jar calefaction, the stimulation of matutinal contact, the economy of mangling done on the premises in the case of trousers accurately folded and placed lengthwise, in the string mattress, striped, and the woolen mattress, get section.
Oh,
And then he thinks, how has this happened
why
before?
is he comparing sharing a bed with your wife to sharing a bed with a jar of hot water? Like, is that an option?
His are mostly water.
Who the fuck? I'm imagining, so instead of like a docky, it's a fucking it's a single jar of hot water.
You know, it's like those hot water things that they had in like all the old times that you put at the foot of your bed, or when you're like have a cold or something. Those weird rubber hot water things.
Those aren't jars.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put a jar in my bed. Yeah, maybe it's like a Canada thing where like they just like they're like the milk is in bags and you just gotta roll with it.
And the wives are in jars?
Yes. Or you gotta keep them somewhere, lest they get out.
God forbid they escape.
Escape. Right. So what things before rising, pre-apprehended, of accumulated fatigue did Bloom before rising silently recapitulate? So now he just sums up his day, of a sort, and then but mixes it with other things. This is a wild.
You're telling me we could have just read the recap instead of the entire rest of the book?
Well, it's not a full recap. It's a partial recap of like the first two chapters.
No, we already read those. We already did a recap of them on Book Club.
The first two Bloom chapters.
Yeah, 4 and 5.
Yeah. So the preparation of breakfast, but then he mixes it with like religious stuff. So if anyone wants to break out their annotations and interrupt me with religious things,
isn't that your job?
Yeah. Well, I'm doing
I think the rest of us
primary
are going to
reading.
refrain from that.
I can't interrupt myself yet. As soon as I access the hidden energy from the twin I absorb in the womb, I'll let you know. Stop the podcast. Someone's updating my TV tropes. The preparation of breakfast, a burnt offering, intestinal congestion and premeditative defecation, holy of holies, the bath, the rite of John, the funeral, the rite of Samuel, the advertisement of Alexander Keys, Urim and Thummim, an unsubstantial lunch, which is the rite of Melchizedek, a visit to the museum and the National Library, a holy place, the book hunt along Bedford Row, Merchant's Arch, Wellington Quay, which is the Simchath Torah, the music in the Ormond Hotel, which is the Shira Shirim, flawless pronunciation, the altercation with a trunculate troglodyte in Bernard Kieran's premises, Holocaust, a blank period of time including a car drive, a visit to a house of mourning, a leave-taking, wilderness.
Wait, what Holocaust are they talking about here?
The altercation with a trunculent troglodyte. I assume they're talking about the guy who threw the biscuit tin at him. Which is
I see.
This man didn't.
That was his own personal Holocaust.
Holocaust.
Now this was slightly less tasteless because this happened before the Holocaust.
Yes.
Back when that was more of just like a hypothetical.
Or like, presumably Holocaust here means more of a reference to like the pogroms.
Yeah.
And then right through the wilderness, the eroticism produced by feminine exhibitionism, the rite of Onan. When they went to the horse. So this is a summary of the book, mixed with the prolonged delivery of Mrs. Minas Purefoy, which is the heave offering, the visit of the disorderly house of Mrs. Bellicona, 82 Tyrone Street, lower, and subsequent brawl in Chance Medley in Beaver Street, which is Armageddon. Nocturnal perambulation to and from the cabin shelter bridge, which is Atonement. So there we go. His whole day has perfectly matched with the entire Bible, and also
very nice.
Some Torah stuff as well, because I don't recall something. It's been a while since Sunday school, but I don't recall anything called the Urim or the Thummim or the Simchath Torah as things I gotta do.
Well, those are real.
I figured as much. They just weren't in my Sunday school.
Well, okay, so the Urim and the Thummim are...
Great words, by the way. Hopefully they aren't, like, super important, and I wasn't just making fun of something very important.
No. They are, part of the ceremonial attire worn by the high priest, back when there was a high priest of the
Okay, so,
Temple
like-
of Israel.
Okay, Mr. Levi.
Yeah, they're like... Wait, what actually are they? Form and function. No one knows. No one knows what they
Nobody
actually
knows.
are. Yeah. And then the Simchat Torah is... I'm gonna Google this one so I don't get it wrong.
Being wrong
Oh,
on this
that's
podcast?
the
More
okay.
likely than you think.
That's basically a part of the like the service in which you take the Torah out of the Ark. And yeah. So it's part of the ceremony. I guess the connection to the book hunt being that when you do the Simchat Torah, you take the Torah out and then you like parade it around the hall, which is kind of an opposite of a book hunt, really, because the book just kind of comes
doing
around to
irony,
everyone.
Doing a sarcasm.
Yeah.
And the Shira Shirim.
Isn't that a song?
Well, it is tied to the music in the hotel. Yeah, well, he's looking that up. I think we kind of know what the Rite of Onan is. That's your Onanisms, baby. Which, weirdly enough, if you go back and read the original story, he wasn't masturbating.
No, he pulled out of his
it was
like
pull out.
Husband's wife or his
friend's wife.
his brother's wife or
Brother's
something
wife,
like that,
there it
right?
is. Yes, because, and God got very mad at this because he had promised, be like, yeah, sure, man, I'll fuck your wife so you can have kids, and then he's like, actually, pull-out method, and I think he died on the spot after doing this.
Yeah.
After doing the pull-out method, which just goes to show that it doesn't work as contraception. Remember, kids,
Well,
if you do
they
the
didn't
pull-out
conceive.
method, you will fucking die.
They didn't conceive though. Yeah, the Shira Shirim is just a Jewish song.
Yeah, I don't think we need to.
I mean, it's not just a Jewish song, but it's one of the songs.
Okay. I thought you say it's the Jewish song.
We got more than one song.
I don't know. There might be one more important than the other.
Probably, yeah. I don't know. I'm not an expert.
You're the closest thing we have to an expert. God help us. Yeah. So which is great. It means we got another thing, but another way for which to analyze this text is like, does it actually match up perfectly to all these biblical and religious themes? That answer is left as an exercise for the reader. So now what? What self-imposed enigma did Bloom about to rise in order to go so as to conclude, lest he should not conclude involuntarily apprehend? I think that's a Death Grips lyric. Which is the cause of a brief, sharp, unforeseen, heard, loud, lone crack emitted by the insentient material of a strain-veined timber table. What self-involved enigma did Bloom risen, going, gathering
Did he
multicolored,
just smack his
multiform-
shin on the table or something?
I think so. Multitudinous garments, voluntarily apprehending, not comprehend. Who was M'Intosh?
Tips M'Intosh.
Is that fedora made out of an iMac?
Yeah, I don't know what they're going on with that.
Is this a sideways reference to the man in the Macintosh from The Funeral? And I mean, we're getting biblical now because we've got the multicolor coat, the coat of many colors, which, you know, if my brothers which I don't have, gave me a coat of many colors. If my dad gave me a coat of multicolors, I would simply make sure my siblings weren't jealous of me. They don't sell me into slavery. So let's move on to the next self-evident enigma, which he pondered with desultory constancy during 30 years. Did Bloom now, having affected natural obscurity by the extinction of artificial light, silently suddenly comprehend? What question has Bloom been pondering for 30 goddamn years? Where was Moses when the candle went out?
What candle?
What Moses? Is the cat is the cat named Moses? Is there something else?
I looked up
Yeah,
the solution to the cipher in the annotations.
oh, is it a boring answer? Or is it a fun answer?
It's boring. I mean, it tells you what the puzzle is. The puzzle was a cipher of the name of the sender of the letter, and the answer is Martha Clifford.
Martha. Say Martha.
Yeah, that's it.
What an insightful cipher.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Martha Clifford, and then something else that there's no vowels, so I don't know what the rest of it's saying. I think it's like the name of the street or something. Dolphnisburn.
So he is thinking back to his day, which allows us to speed through this.
Yeah, we just hit the 2-hour mark.
What ruined the day? The failure to renew the advertisements. That certified the presence or absence of posterior rectal orifices in the case of Hellenic female divinities.
Huh?
Certifying the presence or absence of posterior rectal orifice in the case of Hellenic female divinities.
Are
the
they
Greek goddesses poop?
Yes.
How do you know?
There's no way they didn't have buttholes.
Yeah, but doesn't mean you have to poop out of them.
No, but the question wasn't whether or not they poop out of them. It's just, do they have buttholes? Yes. Next question.
Rechiseling the Venus de Milo have a butthole. More people, when they go to see classical art, should get goat-seed. He failed to see the performance. And he sort of thinks about some other things. What face did he see? The face of the dad of the performer. What things did he see a lot today? The terminus of the railway, a street, the train moving. I think he's thinking back to like that woman he saw when like the trolley interrupted his view.
Oh, when he almost saw her ankles?
Yes. Or another time. What were these things that he's wearing? That she was wearing? A pair of new Notarus half silk black ladies' hose, a pair of new violet garters, a pair of outsized ladies' drawers of Indian mull, cut on generous lines, redolent of Papanax, Jessamine and Marathi's Turkish cigarettes, and containing a long bright steel safety pin, folded curvilinear, a camisole of batiste with thin lace borders, an accordion of underskirt of blue silk moriette, all those objects being disposed irregularly on top of a rectangular trunk, quadruple battened, having capped corners with multicolored labels, initially on its foreside in white lettering BCT, Brian Cooper Tweedy. Or some impersonal objects, though. A commode, a broken leg, a totally covered by square Critternone cutting, an apple design which rested a lady's black straw, orange keyed ware, bought of Henry Prairie Price, basket, fancy goods, chinaware, and ironmongery manufacturer, 21, 22, 23 Moore Street, disposed regularly on the washstand and floor and consisting of a basin, soap dish, and brush tray on the washstand together. Picture and night article on the floor, separate. Bloom's act. What has he done? What is he doing right now as we read this? He deposited the articles of clothing on a chair. Can you look at all this plot happening? He removed his remaining article of clothing. He took from beneath the bolster at the head of the bed a folded long white nightshirt. There it is. Leopold Bloom was briefly shirtless for half a sentence.
Pog.
Wow.
I found the part of the annotations about the where was Moses when the candle went out.
He inserted his head and arms into the nightshirt. He removed a pillow from the head to the foot of the bed. He prepared the bed linen accordingly and entered the bed. It has taken us 60 pages or more from when he got into his house at so late in the morning that the sun is starting to rise to him getting into bed, folks. This is incredible. Now what about Moses? Where was he?
So there were two common like street rhymes at the time to answer this. Down in the cellar with his shirt tail out, and down in the cellar eating sauerkraut. But Bloom, according to the annotations, I don't know where they got this from. Bloom's answer to the riddle, in the dark.
I mean, that is where you would be if you had a candle.
Yes.
You don't break out candles in broad daylight. That's a me response. Where was someone with a candle at night?
Yeah.
It's like a sad one-liner.
Yeah. That's your signature thing.
Bloom should stick to advertising instead of comedy. Okay, so now that we know what he was doing going to bed, how did he get into the mattress? How did he get on there?
Before you keep going, this might be a good spot to stop for the night. It's getting late.
Yeah, sure.
It's almost 9 o'clock.
Find out how he gets into the mattress.
Tune in next time for the exciting conclusion of Chapter 17.
Yeah.
12:06.
Yes.
Book club.
Anyway, what up, bookers?
So
what up, bookers? All right, what do we have for the outro today?
100 pages left.
Yeah, we have almost done it. We've almost made it.
Are we going to marathon the last 100 pages?
I might do that on like a Saturday.
Throw up a PayPal link and have people send in money.
All donations. What is it? What is it that they say in like obituaries? In lieu of flowers, simp to VTubers. That's what we'll do. We'll give you like a list of VTubers to donate on my behalf. So how about that Nijisanji English? Finally announced. It's been a while. Good thing production Kawaii got in when they did, cause yeah. Now like I mean it already was the case that everyone joining the small English agencies were the people that didn't make it into Niji English, which are the people that didn't make it into Hololive English. But that's even more the case because there's almost certainly going to be more generations. In fact, from the promo thing, it looks like there's teasers for 3 more characters in the background. And it is the Nijisanji way to just churn those fuckers out. I'm actually kind of surprised that they only started with 3. But
they haven't gotten the VTuber factory up and running yet.
Yes, they have though. That's the thing. They absolutely have.
They haven't found enough anime girls to run into the sausage maker to extrude a new one from the composite parts of previous successful ones.
I want to see someone get to the point where they can use like the this waifu does not exist thing to just produce fully rigged but terrifyingly Cronenbergian VTuber avatars. That would be
like,
Kino.
Extendo hair and 2 faces.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, this waifu does not exist usually ends up generating either Hatsune Miku's or Toho.
Yeah, me and Brandon, we like to sit in the... Hang on, let me pull this up. Actually, this is really funny.
You can end the stream now, though. We don't need to set them through this.
All right, fine. Go away. Goodbye.
It's been so long.